And, I guess you're painting a very dire picture, of course, of what's going on at the NRA. Well, in fact, can you speak to that a little bit? If, for instance, nothing comes of this New York case, if the leadership wins, right, the Brewer law firm is able to convince the judge not to levy any sort of punishments against leadership, obviously they argue that there have been reforms made and that this group is self-corrected and there's no need for any further action from the government side of things. If that wins the day in court, what do you expect could happen to the NRA in your personal view?
Okay, so keep in mind my background. I'm a business guy, and so I spent a lot of 40 years reading financial statements and understanding how metrics work in businesses. And if you look at the metrics, the things that are important to the NRA, things like what's our total membership, what's the total donations, things like that. All of those numbers are declining at a pretty rapid rate. The NRA continually presents that we have 5 million members. That's not true. We don't have 5 million members. We at one point in time we did, but that membership base has declined quite significantly. I think it's around 4.6 million or so. The donations have dropped significantly. Upwards of 35%, 40%. So I think the members, are listening and they're reading a lot. If you read any of the articles out there, you read the documents on the reload that you put out and see so many pro-gun groups have really exposed the problems at the NRA. The membership is waking up to that. So if the New York AG, if this does not get resolved in the court, I believe the NRA is really headed for potential demise at some point in the future as members pull away and look elsewhere to try to get, Second Amendment, groups and get involved with the things we're trying to do with the NRA. So I think it looks very dire for the NRA, and I'm hopeful that the court can help the NRA get back on track by removing the wrongdoers, replacing those people with good people that can run the NRA and bring it forward. But the members are not going to continue to support the NRA if it's not corrected.
We did publish the 2021 August financial report to the board on the reload, and it did show there's a 50% drop in revenue. Membership is somewhere around 4.6, 4.75 million at that point in time, and services had also been cut by about 50%, and legal fees had really skyrocketed to the tens of millions. It was $31 million through the first 8 months of 2021.
Right.
But speaking, I guess the other question here for you as somebody who's tried to reform things internally at the NRA, given the stakes involved that you just laid out, why haven't we seen a more effective reform effort come into being with the NRA? The NRA is a very important institution in the gun rights movement, as you mentioned earlier. It's in your view, obviously, and I'm sure the view of a lot of other people, it's going in the wrong direction. The numbers look bad. They're caught up in this corruption prosecution. Why haven't there been the kind of forceful grassroots effort to reform the group, you think?
Well, I think part of it is the COVID, we'll call it the COVID years, have had a really detrimental effect on the NRA members meetings, for example. Last year in 2021, as you remember, the NRA member meeting was canceled. It was scheduled to be in Houston, and because the COVID numbers were running pretty high, they canceled it and then had a ad hoc members meeting in Virginia. And so the members weren't there. I know you came to that meeting, but there were
in Charlotte.
Yeah, in Charlotte.
Right.
I actually was in Charlotte. There was 150 people there. There was no one there. And so the members haven't had an opportunity to really come together and voice concerns about the direction that the NRA has been on the last several years. So maybe at the next members meeting, which is coming up, I think in May in Houston, that maybe the members will be outspoken and have an opportunity to to address some of these issues, hopefully. And I'd hoped that was going to happen last year, and it just didn't happen. And right now, I'm really kind of focused on the courts and seeing if they can turn around. The problem with the courts, that could take years. I mean, that's not going to be resolved this year. Even if the NRA loses in court, I'm assuming that they would, appeal that decision. And so that process could continue on for maybe 2 or 3 years, maybe longer.
Yeah.
So if the members are listening to this podcast, I would suggest you come to the Houston meeting in May and speak your mind. If you have a concern about some things that have happened, this be a great time to get involved and to speak what's on your heart about your NRA. This doesn't belong to Wayne. It doesn't belong to the officers. It belongs to you, the members.